The rematch of the AFC Championship game kicks off this NFL season on Thursday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about it. For starters, the Chiefs, of course, bring back the majority of their squad from last year to try to pull off the first three-peat of the 21st century in the NFL. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, those are the three guys that make up the core of this team, and they're at the head once again. The Ravens lose a couple of starters, but they bring in Derrick Henry, one of the premier running backs of the 21st century. In my opinion, probably the GOAT of the 2010s running back group. All that being said, massive addition for them there, but losing Kevin Zeitler, a starting offensive lineman, and Patrick Queen, one of the core members of this defense, those are two big losses. Now, what I do want to talk about with the Ravens is the fact that they have three new starters on the offensive line, and they're pretty much all unproven. One of the tackles has maybe like 7 or 8 starts in his whole career, but both of the guards do not have any starts in their entire careers. That is something to be concerned about. Those are just two big question marks. Now, the three factors that I want to talk about for this game: the Ravens pass rush versus the Kansas City offensive tackles. Now, last year, the Chiefs gave up the fewest sacks in the NFL, 28, or maybe the second fewest sacks, 28 in the league, and the Ravens led the league in sacks with 60. In the AFC Championship game, I think that the Ravens defense did their job by holding one of the most explosive offenses and dynamic quarterbacks in the NFL to just 17 points. In that game, they had 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, which in my opinion is enough. They did their job. It's now on the Ravens offense to put up more points than 10. That's what the final score was last year, 17-10. So defense did their job. I expect them to do it again this year. They're returning their same pass rushers. So I think that they can get pressure on Mahomes, and if they do, it might be a long night for the Chiefs offense. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the Ravens interior offensive line versus Chris Jones. Chris Jones has wreaked havoc upon everyone in the NFL over the last 10 years. He's one of the greatest defensive tackles, especially in the 21st century. But all that being said, the 2 new guards for this Ravens team, like I said, don't have any starts in their career. That is a major concern to me, and I think he's going to have a field day there. And that's extremely concerning when you bring in somebody like Derrick Henry, who is a vertical running back rather than a side-to-side running back. However, I do trust the Ravens offense to be dynamic, especially with the fact that Lamar Jackson is the best dual-threat quarterback in NFL history. But there is a major concern there. Chris Jones is really going to have a field day on Thursday versus the Ravens interior offensive line. Next thing I want to talk about is which wide receiver for both of these teams is going to step up. Both have young wide receiver cores, but the leaders of both of those, Rashee Rice for the Kansas City Chiefs and Zay Flowers for the Baltimore Ravens. I want to lean towards Rashee Rice. I was high on him last year. He had a great season and a pretty good playoffs, but Zay Jones, there's not much to write home about when it comes to the production on the field, but the talent is definitely there. I definitely could see either one having a breakout game here, but if I had to lean against one, it would be Rashee Rice. I think he's more dynamic, and I trust Andy Reid, the offensive play caller and the guy who draws up all of the plays for the Chiefs. I trust him to be more useful of the talent in the wide receiver core than the Baltimore Ravens. Now, let's go ahead and hop into my prediction. I think this is going to be exactly like last year, a defensive slugfest. Both offenses struggle out of the gate. The Ravens have got to get used to having one of the best backs in the NFL on their roster, and the Chiefs, I do think that they will probably get shut down in the passing game. The Ravens, of course, have a very wide variety of talent on defense. They've got good middle linebackers. They've got a good pass rush. I love their nose tackle. Their corners are pretty elite. Marlon Humphrey is an all-pro type guy. And then Kyle Hamilton at the strong safety, one of the best in the league, even though he's so young. All that being said, low-scoring, defensive slugfest. If I had to pick one, I would pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win due to the home field advantage and previous matchup history. I like that they have everything basically throughout their entire roster. A strong offensive line, a good running back, obviously the best quarterback in the NFL, better tight ends, I think a better receiving core. Defense, they're pretty much the same as the Ravens. I think that they're a lot better than people like to admit. All that being said, my final score prediction, 20-17 Kansas City Chiefs. They start off the season right, unlike last year, but I could see it going either way, so don't hold me to that prediction. What I do want to talk about is my one plaisant pick for this game, and that is Isaiah Pacheco over 61.5 rushing yards. He did this in 11 out of the last 18 games that he's played in. He did it in 3 of the 4 playoff games that the Chiefs played in last year, and versus the Ravens specifically in the AFC Championship game, he had 24 rushes for 68 yards. Which, when you think about it, 24 rushes for 68 yards, that's not a ton yards per carry. But the fact that he got 24 touches means a lot when you think about where the Chiefs were in the playoffs. The AFC Championship game, and you want to put the ball in this guy's hands. I think he's going to get over 61.5 rushing yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out for this team, so he's going to be getting the lion's share of the touches in the backfield. Over 61.5 rushing yards, Isaiah Pacheco. That's my plaisant pick for this game. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.